Hey there, Cats and Kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues. With this particular video, I'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 5 of the anime series, Tuwaru Hikushi Ino Koyuta. And this was definitely another interesting episode that begins with somewhat of a comical flair. You know, some months have passed. I believe it's 4 months. It's summertime now, and essentially Kal-El, his sister, and the rest of their friends in this flight school, their curriculum is being changed up by their two primary teachers. Essentially, they're going to be taught how to kind of deal with on-land training. You know, they're marching through the woods for hours and hours. They come to a lake, and then they're going to have water training right on the coattails of that. And it's completely unexpected, and it's hilarious how, you know, once the female teacher gets out of her clothes into her bathing suit, all the guys are gawking and gaping. Same goes with the Banderas guy, the male teacher, you know, when he basically disrobes down to a Speedo, all the girls are either shying away, or in the case of Ariel, she's gawking and gaping, muscles, you know. And so it gets quite comical. They have a little downtime, they have a little fun, you know, basically rest and recuperation after all of this training, and they let their hair down, which is really fun and interesting because we have this sort of awkward moment build up between Kal-El and Claire Cruz. They've gone off to get wood for fire to basically cook the fish that they were told by Banderas, their teacher. You know, if they're hungry, they can go ahead and get some fish and eat that and that kind of thing. Part of the survival aspect of their training, I'm assuming. And what's interesting is, of course, they get lost, and we have this sort of cliched a little bit, but, you know, this awkward, they trip as they're trying to run because they realize they're lost, and they fall on top of each other. And as Kal-El is looking, you know, longingly into Claire's eyes, you have their headmaster back at their dorm, just sort of showing up and being like, what a dork, you know, you don't happen to know that I take nightly walks around the lake and everything. And so Claire runs off, very uncomfortable. Now, as we've seen in the last couple episodes, we've had Kal-El, Carl Lahir, basically reflecting back on his history. We've learned about what brought him to this place. We have a little more touch of that in this episode, but primarily we're seeing Claire reminisce. And it's interesting to see that much like Kal-El, you know, Carl was, she was taken from her family, basically because her family needed to survive. They kind of sold off their daughter because of this wind-calling ability that she has, this sort of summoning ability, wind power. It's very intriguing that because she kind of, you know, rebels as she's being taken away and almost seemingly wipes out an entire city. And then, of course, you have this sort of religious, you know, benefactor coming and saying, well, it's a power from the saints, it's a power from a god, will you join us? And so she's basically created into this mythological alternate identity, Anna Viento, which, of course, is who Kal-El felt as a child that's who was to blame for his parents being killed. What we learned in this episode, that was machinations that Claire really had nothing to do with. She was the figurehead, the picture on the poster, but there were machinations behind it, putting all that into effect. Apparently the country was already in a sort of revolution against the empire that Kal-El's family represented, and so we have these two characters who, they were just sort of thrown into all of this, and she is terrified. At one point during, like, the next day, when she's standing there sort of just reminiscing and thinking about all this, Kal-El comes up behind her, and she looks back, and boom, all of a sudden she sees the face of that little boy, those just aggravated eyes that he looked up at her with, saying her name with gritted teeth, as if he put all the blame on her. And so she's terrified that he's there, as per all the rumors, that, you know, basically he's there to find Anna Viento and have his revenge, have his vengeance. And that's just absolutely intriguing, because we found out essentially there's some truth to that. You know, Kal-El is here because the government figured out he was alive. He was never killed when he was supposed to be, along with his mother and father. He's been in hiding. That guard that took him, as we found out in the last 2 episodes, adopted him into his family and all this stuff, and they're kind of like, well, look, you're either going to be found out by the populace and used against your will for whatever ends, whatever purposes, or would you like to go to Isla and take care of this project because Anna Viento is going to be there, you know, the magic card, they pull it out. And of course, typically, you have Kal-El thinking, I need to go, I need to be there, I need to find Anna Viento and confront her at some point. So it's a divide waiting to happen. Of course, Ignacio, we're still unclear as to what his relationship is to all this. He does know who Kal-El is, and I'm still wondering if he has some relation, some bearing to do with Claire. But, they basically resolve as they're having their flight training once again. Toward the end of the episode, they're supposed to be battling, sort of having a dogfight. And you see Claire spacing out because she still has that fear. She's not sure if she can trust Kal-El. And he tells her, look, I want to be who we are right now, right here and now. I wish this could last forever. And it speaks to her because she wishes the very same thing. She regrets a lot of where she's, all the stuff she's gone through that relates to Carl Lahir's family and all that stuff. And so you see them both just kind of resolve to want to be in the moment. And they get through their dogfight very spectacularly, and then boom, all of a sudden as they're getting to that holy spring that they've been waiting to get to, they've been traveling toward their sort of first hurdle, as one of the characters says, on the way to the end of the sky, which they're searching for, boom, you have a bunch of these sort of guard, planes showing up from this particular holy spring and trying to ward off these planes. So it looks like a battle is about to ensue, and it just ramped up the story that much more. Can't wait to see where this all goes, how it unfolds. Love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you're able to post, realize I can't respond to them, but I love hearing your thoughts and ideas about the series. Essentially, what your thoughts on this episode and all the revelations that we've seen up to this point, what it's all going to amount to in your estimation. So otherwise, that'll be it for me on this. I hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you later. Peace.